what I wanted to get to was, I honestly, I've heard mixed things about this person. Very few good, but mostly bad. I want to know what is your interpretation? How do you view? And again, I truly don't know. I truly don't know. I'm asking you because you seem like you would be a good source for me to ask this about. How do you view Adolf Hitler? Like, how do you see him?
I don't even know what to think. I think that he was probably angry at what went down in World War I. He sounded like he was very nationalist and passionate. I heard a story of him beating up a guy, kind of like Mark would probably beat up Hake because he was not sufficiently patriotic or something. He was very brave in war, I heard. And so he, because he had that passion and drive, he was kind of like an Alex Jones. Alex Jones might hate me saying this. Shout out to my competitor. But Alex Jones, you know how Alex Jones is very passionate in his expressions of himself. And some of it is just putting on a show. And so he's very effective at putting on a show that even if it's a true show or a false show, I don't know. There was, in that anger, he probably believed some lies and was misguided in those things. And he ended up losing the war and dying. And now Germany is arguably worse off because of the backlash over all that happened. And he probably did some of those evil things that they're saying that he did. And so I would say that it's kind of like what I've mentioned before, and I've heard it before from others, the whites today, you're right in your criticisms of communism and of the anti-white stuff and the anti-Christian stuff. You're right in your complaints, but don't be angry about it. Because anger is the lie that they'll point to you and say, oh, see, you're this evil person, and they'll justify their further clamping down on the whites.
Right.
So if you stay away from that anger, then you'll be more... If you stay away from emotion and passion and excitement and pride, then you'll be more sane and wise in how you go about things. And you'll also be able to love your enemies and love your fellow man, not hate him, because when you hate him, you lose. Right. And that's what happened to Hitler. He lost. And that's what happened to poor Germany. They lost so bad. It's kind of like what happened to Japan. Look at what's happened to Japan. I thought Japan did some wrong things maybe to the Chinese, rapes and stuff. Yeah. And now Japan can barely even have a country. They can't even have a military, and their men are turning into women just like the rest of the West.
Yep, you just had a caller talking about that too.
Yeah. So I've never really looked into him, but just based on what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah. So he most likely, he probably did kill Jews.
Yeah.
Is it true that he was strictly for blonde hair, blue eyes?
That part I don't know. I know that was mentioned in school, but even when I learned it in school, it wasn't like it was strictly that. It's just that was unique, and those are recessive genes, I think, and so it shouldn't be something that's... It didn't even talk about mixing. It just talked about, hey, that's everybody likes that. I mean, a lot of people like that, especially like the POCs like that. I don't even.
They're so for that.
Yeah, and I'm not even that into that. Like, I didn't grow up around people like that. So like, I'm like, okay, cool. I noticed that a lot of movie stars and people are blue-eyed. And I don't know hardly anybody who has blue eyes. But anyway.
You're talking to a blue-eyed person right now.
Right on, man. I did ask a question on a video that I recorded. You ever met a blue-eyed person whom you trust? But I'm not implying that you can trust anybody with any eyes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. But the thing about the thing about Hitler, and then you got Dylan Roof too.
Yeah.
I like their vision about preserving the white race. Dylan Root, and praise God he's still alive. I don't believe he deserved death, but I love their vision about preserving the white race at all costs and stuff. But I think the right way is to just push all these, America haters out of the country. Don't kill them, but like just push them out. If they hate America so much, push them out. They shouldn't be here anyways. The anti-America, anti-white people. I'm not for the whole, like killing Jews and killing blacks and all that stuff. I'm not for that.
Yeah, that's so counterproductive.
Right.
You have to work with people. I like Trump's.
Right, yeah.
I like Trump's way. I don't really agree with Trump being anti-racist and all that stuff, but he's a boomer, so I don't. It's fine. But Trump's way is
he really has to say that first,
Right, I know. For politics' sake, you have to say it. Whether he believes it or not is who knows. But I think he truly loves all people, and he works with people. And Booker T. Washington too. He's like, hey, you blacks, you better work with these whites. And whites, if you know what's good for you, like it's good to work with these blacks too. Work with your neighbors, and then you can live socially separate. But since these are the people around you, you got to work with them. I mean, it's best for your own life to work with them, and then they will be your friends rather than your enemies when something hits the fan. When it hits the fan.
Right.
So
Go ahead.
I don't even know if we'll ever get to be able to push anybody out. The best chance is to do it slowly, like how the communists did evil slowly. We do it patiently, and Trump deports the illegals who definitely shouldn't be here, and then and then more people will start to assimilate once society's working again, because the economy is a big thing. Trump once asked a wise question: what do people really want? They want a good job, get along with their life, safety, and be able to take care of their family in peace and freedom. And the best way to do that is with peace and with an economy that's free, where you're free to succeed. You're not taxed for succeeding. You're not taxed more when you make more money. Stuff like that.
Exactly right. Because I mean, you have Africa. That's a predominantly African country. You got Asia, Japan, China, all these places.
Yeah.
All these places are predominantly their race. America, it's still, praise the Lord, that it's still a predominantly white country. But I mean that's the reason God created. I mean, like that's the purpose of this world, is to have your predominantly race country, and this whole race mixing thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't worked for 65 years. It's never going to work.
Right.
It's never going to work.
Ever. I read a little Substack post by somebody who was on my show before, who said that this mixing, the interracial relationships and marriages and children are going to increase racism, and it probably already is. And,
oh my gosh, yes.
And so it's interesting that all these different solutions that people come up with are so counterproductive to their ends.
Right.
So we'll see what happens, but I encourage you and everybody to just stay wise with your words and how you act with people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting call, man. I'm glad that you asked that. I will say one last thing about the Hitler thing. Anybody the people who promote him the most are the angriest. They're like dysfunctional. And it's like they've so demoralized that they don't even want to, they don't care anymore. They don't want to get along with anybody anymore. And I understand that frustration, but that comes from anger, and anger is going to make your own life dysfunctional. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
I've heard, other people kind of, when you get to them into a serious point, they may talk sober-minded about him, but these people promoting him and talking about, oh, he was right and all that stuff, that comes from anger. Even if they believe what they're saying, it still comes from anger, which is counterproductive to themselves and to society.
You're exactly right. Can I make one more comment, Hey?
Yeah.
I apologize. I don't want to take too much of your time, but the colored races, they compare, the police, ICE, whoever they can to, like, you heard Kamala Harris say the KKK. I mean, they compare all those,
right. I know,
heroes, like, to the KKK.
Yeah.
Like that case in Illinois. I'm sure you heard of the pot situation with Sean Grayson, the cop.
Oh, yes, right. The hot water shooting.
Yeah.
Yep.
All you hear is the blacks, try to dissect the whole. Oh, I didn't see her throw the pot. I didn't see her do this and that. She threw the. I mean, you'd have to watch it with your own eyes to see she threw the pot, and they're trying to justify her doing that. And then as soon as you got them on the point that she did throw the pot, they say, oh well, you know all this stuff about us being segregated. We just sit in the back of the bus and stuff. That's
right.
That's what it's all about. They don't care about whether she threw the pot or not. They just want to see Sean Grayson thrown in prison because he's white. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's true.
I can give you the name of the person that said that himself. I'm not going to do it because
good
for the sake of your show.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what it's all about. They don't care about justice at all. They just want to see Sean Grayson thrown in prison for his race. That's it.
Right.
That's all it's about.
Interesting, man.
Yes.
Great point. That's a true statement.
What a great call, Hank. And I'm sure we'll get a lot of backlash from your hell pit in the chat.
Indeed. Take care, Hayden. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, see you, Hank.
Bye. Hey, did she throw the pot? I don't know if she threw it. I didn't look that closely to where I saw that she threw it. But according to Big Bump, Big Bump is pretty objective. And he seemed to think that she kind of threw the pot. That's Frederick in L.A. asking if she threw the pot. What a mess. What a mess. What an unfortunate, I guess it's sort of an unfortunate situation between that cop and that woman. Rest in peace to that woman, and chin up king to that cop. It sounds like you messed up, maybe. Overboard. And you're going to get disproportionately slammed over it. You know what I mean? Shout out to Jaime in Minnesota and Popcorn Stump Cake. Thank you again for those questions. Hope I did them justice. Joe in Phoenix, Arizona. Been on hold for a long time here. Thank you for calling and holding there, Joe. How you doing, man?
Good morning, James. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thank you.
My goodness, Hayden. I'll simply ask, Hayden, have you ever seen a successful far-right extremist in life? Probably not.
Interesting point. Interesting point.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point, I think. They're not, they don't end up successful. And I think that's you can blame society punishes people for their opinions, yes. But if they're knowing that, you should be able to be wiser with how you are. And,
yes.
Yeah.
As far as Hitler and blonde hair and blue eyes, he's on record as saying the reason he didn't procreate is because he had brown eyes and black hair.
Oh, really? I thought he didn't have a son or anything?
He did not.
And so so according to Joe in Phoenix, and I have not independently verified, that's what he said, huh? On record.
That's what he said, yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he was fairly let me argue with you from the perspective, because I have heard them say that Germany was doing quite well leading up to the World War II. Like he had Germany functioning again. Is that true or false?
No.
Was it gaining?
Well, the whole reason World War II happened, James, is because Germany, coming out of World War I, the Treaty of Versailles, Germany was hit with very, very harsh restrictions on them.
Right.
And it led to some terrible economic conditions. So Hitler was able to rise because he was promising to restore Germany to glory.
Uh-huh. And was there, in any sense, did that happen? Be fair now. Be fair-minded now.
You're asking me to give some kind of recognition to Hitler? That's a tough one. He did do a lot of public works projects, like the Autobahn, Joy Through Strength, and some other public works that did put people back to work. I'll say that and leave it at that.
Joy Through Strength, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
or
so...
Strength Through Joy. I got it backwards there. Strength Through Joy.
What's that program? I don't know if I recognize that.
It was a program where the average German could take vacations and relax with their families. And it was kind of like a public subsidized vacation program.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so Germany was sort of on the upswing because he imposed this socialist, nationalist stuff.
There's a lot of...
Well, I don't know if it's because, but he imposed it and people's morale got boosted. They were working, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some success there. So they were on the upswing. So in that sense, they were successful up until they went too far or whatever, or they got on the bad side of the Allies, let's say, and got smacked down and got worse.
Well, yeah.